Welcome to New in Duke Blue, where we introduce new Duke leaders to staff and faculty to help others get to know the people who are helping set the course for the university's second century. My name is Antwan Lofton, and I'm excited to welcome Frank Tramble, Vice President for Communications, Marketing, and Public Affairs, as my guest today. Frank, welcome.
Thank you.
So Frank, that was quite the long title that I threw out there.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's the Vice President for Communications, Marketing, and Public Affairs.
Yeah.
That's a lot. What exactly does that role do?
Well, I think it's designed just to catch your attention because of how long it is in that particular space. But, my role here at the university is really to be able to manage our brand both proactively and reactively. It's the simplest way to put it. And to be able to set our institution, supporting the president's priorities and where we're headed into this second century, to align a communication strategy around that helps to unite us all together. So that's the way that I look at the job. When I think about the title, I think the university was really just trying to signal to everyone else that we do need to take a little bit more of a marketing approach to how we think about communications traditionally here at the university. So, while it is a long title, I think it was designed to be able to send a message that now at the most senior level, marketing does matter. And now we're working in a world where we're going to integrate these three things together. So,
tell us a little bit about your personal life and the things that transpired in your life that really shaped and molded the person you are today.
Oh, well, do we have an hour here? I hope we have some time.
We can always chop these down into different segments.
Yeah, we may need a part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think one of the things is I'm a student of, or at least a child, I should say, of musicians. I'm from Detroit. I'm from the where Motown existed, and my parents were Motown musicians, and so I grew up in that space of kind of learning the world through communicating emotions and communicating to someone's actual spirit in that way. And so I think that's kind of what started me down a little bit of that track of understanding that there's something about communicating that's a unique factor. That parlayed more into me actually going into engineering first. So my pathway wasn't intentionally to be exactly where I am today, but I went into engineering, and I worked for this company called Lear Corporation. Okay. And Lear is a company that builds the interior systems of cars. So when you get inside your car, the inside is normally built by other company, not the company that you know the brand. And so that's important because I used to sit in these meetings as the most junior person, listening to this smart engineer from Chrysler, who was our partner, and this smart engineer from Lear argue with each other. And I remember one day walking into my boss's office going, hey, I think I know what's going on in between the two. Let me go ahead and try to do the next presentation. I think I can get us on the same page. Long story short, that ends up working. The presentation goes over well. We rebuilt some of the relations that we had in that department. And my boss pulls me back in and says, if you don't want to do engineering, communications is something you should think about. And at the time I went, I never really thought about it that way. And so lo and behold, now I'm back over here. So
Well, wonderful. That's a great story. It's interesting being able to look at two different leaders and grab those stories to combine that. Very insightful. I'm glad you were able to make that move forward. So why Duke?
Yeah, it's a good question. Duke is a special place. It's known that way, but honestly, my relationship with Duke was really more athletic understood beforehand. I am a runner myself, and so when I interacted with Duke, I'm a Michigan State undergrad. But when I interacted with Duke, it was more on the athletic basis. And so when the opportunity came, I thought this was such an awesome place, but I wasn't sure where it was in terms of the personality of who the institution was from a larger space. And when I came to campus, when I tell you the people here wowed me. I mean, I honestly, and I've been on a lot of different campuses, I fell in love with the community almost immediately. The administrators I met, the President Price, and the vision he had, and all these things kind of really wrapped up. And I went, immediately, why doesn't the rest of the world know this feeling about this community? I know what I know based off of what I normally see, but that isn't actually the best representation of the school all the time. And so this seems 100% like a communication issue. And so for me, that was an exciting challenge to come on down and join this community, because part of what I feel, going back to the music space, I have to feel something when I work. I have to be, really vested in that space, because I try to put my blood, sweat, and tears into the work that we do. And so starting to feel something and feel connected in the community immediately is exactly what I needed and what I wanted to do to fight for this institution in the ways that I know we all want to on a normal basis.
So share a little bit, let's dig into that just a little deeper. When you are over a department that has the responsibility of telling the Duke story, how do you rally your team together to really hear all of the different voices from the different deans who has their own culture for their schools, the different leaders across the university? How do you try to position them to be able to tell the Duke story to various different key audiences?
Well, one, that's not an easy thing, and I have to give my hats off to the administration here overall, because step one is you got to have the right type of leaders in the right place for it to even work, for there to be an opportunity. People have to be aligned at least with the same vision of where this institution is going. And I can definitely say that's what's happening. And I think that's an exciting piece, because it makes it a little bit easier when you do need to pull people together, because we at least all know where we're going. How we get there is now the question.
Sure.
And part of what I try to do in that space of connecting people is really just try to understand where everyone's goals are. Sure. This is more or less, we have the same overall one, but what is it that, you need out of this? At the end of the day, telling a story is not really the challenge. Getting people to hear your story and getting people to understand your story, that's really where the work is. We all know how to, there are amazing communicators here, have been doing it for years, doing a great job telling the story. The challenge has been, have the people they've been telling it to seen it, engage with it, understand it, have connected it enough times where it feels a part of their ethos. That's where we have a lot of growth in those spaces. And so the level of telling story, it starts more with, foundationally, have we done what we needed to do to coordinate and how to connect these stories together? Have we used the practices that exist in today's world when we talk about marketing? Have we used those practices to be able to get in front of someone? That's the challenge. I am also a professor of integrated marketing communications, and I do still teach. And part of...
Man of many talents.
Yeah. Well, I teach because we're in the field. It's one thing to be a practitioner, but we do this for the students. I'm here for the education purposes. The faculty that I engage with over the course of my schooling, those were people that meant a lot to me. And so I feel like I can't be in this position and not be a part of what the mission is every single day, which is to educate and to be able to solve, work on solving the world's greatest problems. So, as a part of being an integrated marketing communications professor in that space, it's about combining these worlds to use all of those tools to get to the desired result. In higher education, we kind of think of ourselves as separate from the corporate world and from everyone else. And in a lot of ways we are. However, in terms of foundational practice of how to get in front of someone, those are just human behaviors. And we've got to be able to, design our tools digitally to connect in enough ways so that way the message we really want, it's easy for you to find. And the challenge with a large university like Duke is the fact that there's multiple ways to get to the same, to one piece of information. And honestly, people's attention spans, we're struggling on a daily basis. We have social media. I actually was talking to someone, and they said over COVID, they had spent somewhere of like 300 hours or 300 days or something like that worth of like being on TikTok just alone.
Wow.
That's a lot of time. And to think of how many other messages we're trying to get to that particular person.
Absolutely.
You know, and they're spending that much time on one social media platform. The demand for attention is just diversified. So we have to be much more strategic. We've got to be, you know, even smarter to get that. And the one place that we have over others is that people love this institution. So they want to find it, but they also don't have a lot of time to find it.
If you had to leave one nugget with those individuals that are starting their tenure here at Duke University or starting a new career period, what is that one line of advice you would leave to them?
Ooh, one line of advice. That's always a hard question because there's so, I mean, honestly, I take so many different ones to put together. I'll have to say, I'm going to have to do two. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I've got to do two. One, the ethos I live, which is a quote by Frederick Douglass, which is, there's no struggle, there's no progress. And so without struggle, we have to understand that is a part of how you progress. The day we all come in and there's no problems is the day we're not needed. So you have to kind of embrace struggle, embrace a problem, because that is why you exist, is to be able to solve problems. And the second one comes from Eric Thomas, who is a motivational speaker. And I had an opportunity to know him before he was the very large #1 motivational speaker in the world. And it is about finding your why. And that's something he always pressed about, because each of us, we're here for a deeper reason. We care about this institution, yes. We care about the people around us, yes. But your existence on this planet has to be deeper than just those couple things. And the reason that you do, your why has to drive you to succeed at a level that is deeper than what is even your boss is asking of you. I truly believe that. You know, the first question I ask every single employee that comes on our team, I say, okay, well, great. Well, why are you here? And they'll give me the answer. And I'm like, no. It's not about work anymore. You got the job. Why are you here?
That's right.
What are you trying to leave in this world? Because the work that you're doing on a constant basis has to connect somewhere into that. You know, and if you truly work to find that connective tissue, you'll find happiness. You'll find fulfillment. You'll find the things that really particularly matter. Because we sometimes drive ourselves a little too surface level, and we spend so much time there that we don't realize that we as human beings need to be whole in order to be able to come to work whole. And I think that's an important part for anybody starting a job. Think about what is it in your life that you're actually trying to do, that is your driving reason for why, that pushes you to succeed at every single level that you're in.
Very insightful. Final question for you. As it relates to the areas that report up to you, it's hard to believe that we are coming to a close on 2024 and starting 2025.
Yeah, that's not a number I thought about.
Absolutely.
It's not.
What are some things that we should be on the lookout for as it relates to your areas here within the university?
Yeah. Well, for one, you know, I look at all communicators as a community. And so whether it's a direct reporting line or not, we are here, and our team's responsibility is to take care of the communicator community. And so as we look at how we bring those communicators together, how we find ways in order to support their growth, support their learning, we're in an industry now that every single year, if you haven't learned something new, you are falling farther behind. I mean, as someone who I believed at one point in my career I was pretty darn good with social media. Like I thought I was pretty much an expert at a space. I mean, you can't tell me Threads and the rest of these new things, like it's brand new. Someone's going to have to teach me that. Right. And so we have to have a humbleness to that space to know that we need to keep learning. We need to keep trying to find new ways to engage with each other. We need to understand that if you are a lone communicator in one particular area, you're just as connected to my team as someone who's on my team. So therefore, a lot of what I think will benefit the community is as we try to bring back some of our programming that's existed before, as well as add new programming that will help bring people together. Because at the end of the day, that connective tissue will lead to a better strategy, will also lead to you getting your goals in whatever your particular shop is. And at the end of the day, it's going to help the institution, and we're all here to do that. And that's the most important part for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Frank, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. And now we know who is new in Duke Blue. And thank you for our second installment of Who's New in Duke Blue.
Thank you.
you.